A very good evening and thank you so much for joining us tonight on BeeTv Major News at 6. Reaching you live from Benin City, the Edo State capital, Nigeria. My name is Oluwatoyin Oyedola. Before we get into the details of the news, let's quickly take a look at the highlights of tonight.
Criminal activities, including gun running, killings. These killings are court-related ones. And the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Adeoluwa was not comfortable with the development, especially in this Edo State. So we have been giving the orders to be on our toes to make sure that the trend is caught henceforth. And that is why you will see us of recent. We have made a lot of arrests. We have made a lot of recovery of firearms, including 2 AK-47.
Okay, and I promise Edo State is that we have the grace of God Almighty, and by the good will and best wishes, we become government of the state. Different. I don't we are going for election, but we are not here to campaign. But we are going to seek an appointment with you to come here. Myself and Governor and they will present ourselves to look for the celebration. For the allocation of resources to states, what parameters have you used to say state A, state B is getting X amount of money in the budget?
And congratulate all Nigerians for what we are seeing here today. But his adherence to quality is what impresses me. The laboratories I've seen here, and even the explanation from the social media that Belgium has finally realized the need to ban the exportation of bad fuel from their country to Nigeria.
What we are doing is to be able to export our petroleum products to anywhere and compete with any company. By next week, we'll be producing less than even about 10 ppm in terms of diesel, which now what is happening in the market is that you import about 2,000, 3,000. So we will produce the best.
I'm not sure the government is representing the citizens. They are just working for themselves, because the suffering here right now is too much on the citizens.
Now to the news in detail. The Edo State Commissioner of Police Funsho Adegboye on Tuesday addressed the various security challenges bedeviling the state, stating that the police command is on top of the issue to ensure the safety of all citizens of the state. The report. Addressing journalists, the Commissioner of Police, CP Funsho Adegboye, stated the command's efforts in combating all cult-related issues in the state. Citing instances, the police chief highlighted the progress of the police command in apprehending some criminal elements in the state and retrieving some dangerous ammunition. He further noted that many locals are the perpetrators or facilitators of the crimes, and hence the Edo State Police Command has set up sensitization programs for the citizens.
Criminal activities, including gun running, killings. These killings are court-related ones. And the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Adeoluwa was not comfortable with the development, especially in this Edo State. So we have been giving the orders to be on our toes to make sure that the trend is caught henceforth. And that is why you will see us of recent. We have made a lot of arrests. We have made a lot of recovery of firearms, including 2 AK-47. We don't know the meaning of the AK-47, what the havoc it can wreak. So we still intensify our efforts. Luckily, we thank God again for the state government. Through the state legislative arm, a law has been enacted. Membership of any court group is on its own a crime, not to talk of the act committed, which we all have in the criminal code. They are all coded in our criminal code.
On the issue of the forthcoming governorship election, the police chief advised all involved to play to the rules of the game, abstaining from action that would incite violence, stir up tension, or heat up the polity. He said such is a criminal offense and anyone that is involved will be prosecuted accordingly.
We saw the statement as being inflammatory that can heat up the electioneering campaign processes. And so he was invited, and we discovered that to serve as a deterrent to others of like behaviors, we decided that the matter should be resolved at the court. That is the situation now. And I want to use this opportunity to please appeal to our gladiators in the electioneering. They should please, I've been saying this, everybody should please play the game according to the rules. Electioneering is supposed to be something glamorous, something interesting, something to encourage our well-educated and young would-be politicians, not the type that will create tension in the land or teach people how to behave virtuously. I want to say that we are not politically biased. We reiterated, and I want to say it again, that we are emplaced in level playing ground for all to operate, but we should please and please not heat up the polity, especially the electioneering as the elections are approaching.
Oluwatoyin Oyedola reporting for BeeTv News. Now to Ekiti, where residents of the state have tasked the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, to ensure the deployment of more police personnel to the state in order to curtail activities of criminals. They made this known during a meeting with the Deputy Inspector General of Police at the Ekiti State Police Headquarters. The coordinating Deputy Inspector General of Police, DIG in charge of Southwest, Sylvester Alabi, said the Nigerian police force will consider the adoption of drones and other technological means to make Ekiti State and other subnationals of the country crime-free.
The Director of the Inspector General of Police, IGP, Kayode Egbetokun, PG and PM, who directed all the DIGs in charge of the 6 geopolitical zones to embark on digital and assess the strategic deployment of our arsenals in crime fighting and see how our officers are doing their job, interact with them, interface with them.
In spite of the successes and relative peace presently permeating the state, there are challenges that need to be addressed to enable the police in Ekiti State perform better. I want to state here that in addition to the challenges of inadequate manpower and logistics, like vehicles and communication gadgets confronting the command, there is the additional problem of incessant transfer of personnel out of the command, both from the force sector and zonal level.
The Ekiti State Police Commissioner Akinwale Adeniro commended the DIG for his proactive and selfless service in the Nigerian police force. The Nigerian Bar Association, Benin Chapter Lion Bar, has held the association's monthly general meeting at the Bar House, Benin City. The meeting, which was hosted by the Secretary to the Edo State Government and PDP Deputy Governorship candidate Osarodion Ogie, had in attendance members of the bar and others. BeeTv News' Esoe Osemige reports.
Guests at the general meeting includes legal practitioners from the NBA Benin branch, Lion Bar, as well as all the senior advocates, the remaining judges who are waiting to be sworn in by the state government and others. Complimentary diaries that they received after the payment of local dues and other matters formed the basis of discussion at the meeting, as the meeting also coinciding with the NBA election, giving the aspirant vying for various positions the opportunity to present their manifesto.
When the time comes, when they need to come, I will have the call to come back and to let you see my manifesto both national and the city and the branch level. When it comes to the governor of the Eastern Forum, here we had 45 branches. I was able to put all the branches together for the success of the NBA. Get ready, I pray for your support. I ask for your prayers in any way you can so that we can make the NBA bigger, bolder, and better.
I have come to tell you, because we are not permitted to campaign, that when the time comes for us to please remember your own, Michael.
In a speech by the host, Osarodian Oge Esquire, who is also the PDP deputy governorship candidate, and the governorship candidate himself, Aswen Igodalo, spoke on what they intend to do for Edo people, and also said that they will present themselves for scrutiny before the election.
I don't think we are going for election. But we are not here to campaign. But we are going to seek our appointment to come here. Myself and governorship and they will present ourselves to look for the celebration. Both Obiana and Edo State is that we have the grace of God Almighty, and by the good will and best wishes, we become government of the state.
The chairman of the bar, Nosa Francis Edo Sage Esquire, and the assistant secretary of the Nigerian Bar Association, Benin Chapter Lion Bar, Osayuki King Agboma Esquire, also spoke on some of the issues discussed at the meeting.
We have some people in our opposition, the SFSG, in Edo State, and one other lawyer, as well. Both of them are lawyers, so they can't join us for this meeting because of the profession. To enjoy with us and discuss issues of importance in the country with us. So that's basically why we are here. Also, things such as committees for presenting things so that's normal. And these meetings came out. Some are we want to do, some are
After the deliberations, the attendees toasted in honor of the host, Osaradia Oge, showing their appreciation for his kind gesture. Esoa Osemege, reporting for BeeTv News.
Arising from the latest issues in the states, where the state said the pro-27 Wike loyalists are still members of the People's Democratic Party. The Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice in Rivers State, Dagogo Igborama, says the suit in question did not seek to declare the seats of the lawmaker vacant. He explained that the suit was struck out for lack of local standing and jurisdiction, and also for being an abuse of government process.
By Section 2723 of the Constitution of Federal Republic as amended, it is only the Federal High Court that can determine whether Martins Abehule and 26 others are still members of the People's Democratic Party and also members of the Rivers State House of Assembly. This much was held by the trial court. However, you will recall that there is a subsisting order of interlocutory injunction in suit number PHC 1512 CS of the year 2024, restraining Martins Abehule and his co-travelers from further parading or presenting themselves as lawmakers in Rivers State, pending
is the examination of the substantive suit, which has not been appealed against. That suit is still pending.
In other news, a group of 35 members of the 10th House of Representatives are pushing for a 6-year single term for the president and state governors. The legislative are also rooting for rotational presidency amongst all the 6 geopolitical zones and for all elections to be held in one day. BeeTv News' Joyce Iyere has details.
The 10th House of Representatives kickstarted the 6th alteration to the 1999 Constitution as amended. A number of bills are ready before the Special Committee on Constitutional Review after scaling first reading. Some of them are sponsored by this group of members. The four-minded legislatures, the lawmakers seek to put an end to the 2 term of 4 years for the president and the governors. It believed this will compel elected officials to work effectively for the country.
The energy we spend in battling over which of the zones should produce, issues of inclusion and so on and so forth, and the attendant costs can be waived if we all agree that power should rotate between north and south and among the 6 geopolitical zones.
They also want all elections to be conducted in a single way to save costs, to eliminate rigging.
We are also aware of a certain declaration that was made in Adamawa State, I guess. If we had this form of legislation, that would never have taken place.
The members are also calling for improved electoral reforms that propose a 7-year jail term with no option of fine for any electoral officer who compromises his or her office.
We have human potentials in Nigeria. We must harness these potentials. The world is ruled by ideas, and these ideas, we must be able to harness these ideas to be able to trigger and facilitate the development of Nigeria.
The harrowing experience of going through court processes after you are being sworn in. Some people have spent 6 months before they were pushed out by the courts. We are now saying let all these processes be concluded before members are inaugurated or sworn in, as the case may be.
Our elections be held the same day seizes these or scattered elections where undue influences causes the outcome.
Financial autonomy for local governments, determination of election petition within a period of 1 month before swearing in, an electronic transmission of results are other areas of focus. The group believes we assist Nigeria to build a strong and valued nation. Joyce Iyere reporting for BeeTv News.
In a similar development, residents in Benin have started to react to the proposed bill by the House of Representatives to reduce the tenure allegation of both the president and governors to a 6-year single term in the country. BeeTv News' Freeman Osawe has the rest of the story.
The Federal House of Representatives has proposed a 6-year single term for presidents and governors in the country in order to reduce cost of running an election and possibly end the reoccurrence of rigging. Commenting on the move by the Federal House of Representatives, some respondents in Benin City who spoke to BeeTv News welcomed the proposal, but however said that the move will see the light of the day as it will help reduce long stay in office by political office holders.
When it comes to all this, our government, for the nature of this country somehow. So if they got to do it that way, it will be something else. Because the way I'm seeing this country now, this country is not balanced. Things are difficult. The economy are hard. The citizens in this country, everybody is somehow not is working fine. So I will want all that the government chief, the presidential should come up with a bright vision for the nation. They should join hands together, plan together, so that the masses of this country can have a benefiting life, well-lived life.
That idea is very good anyway, because if you are talking about the rigging, that one will reduce the rigging because everyone will be fighting for his or her own head. Instead of you now backing someone else up to do his own or her own section, you are now struggling to get your own. I am fighting for my own. Every of the campaign will be vote for me. Me and my team will do well. You understand? So if they can do it in that way, that everything will be once, and then that idea is a very good and welcome idea. so that they will not be looking some people as a minority and some people will be claiming a majority. You understand it? If they can run it that way, very fine.
That may equally lead to wastage in governance. But however, the single tenure is good, and taking a minister or ministers and making them vice presidents is also fair.
Others also expressed concern on the rotational presidency of the 6 political zones, adding that it will bring equity and foster unity in the country as sense of belonging is given to every region.
I believe for me it's okay, it's good, and it will give the presidency and the president to have a rethink, because most of our presidents, after first 4 years, the next 4 years will start misbehaving. But that 6 years, you know, is a tenure. When you don't do anything, you are off. So somebody else will come to replace you. But that regional stuff, me, I don't support that, because it will give the governor more power to be misbehaving. That is my thought.
Yeah, well, I would say if they are sincere, because everything about Nigeria is insincerity. If they are sincere with this ideology, is going to help Nigeria to balance and keep Nigeria united. Because this Nigeria election normally take a dimension. You understand? Some people put it down that is their own right to ride Nigeria or the way they like, bringing other ones behind them. You understand? If they bring that idea, is good. To me, if they are sincere with it, Nigeria will get peace. There will be peace in Nigeria.
I think it will be very, very preferable if elections will be conducted within the 3 years range, and also again conducting an election once all over the year would make a lot of sense to reduce costs. It will also help in at least organizing the elections properly how it's supposed to be. There will be no election malpractices and all sorts like that. So preferably, I think that would be one of the best, and it will be very profitable to win Nigerians. I even feel that 7 years is still very, very fair, because anybody who is into election malpractices, it's a very devilish person, because you do not want you don't want good life for we the Nigerians, because I think that person should be sentenced to death, not even 7 years imprisonment.
It is, however, the hope of many Nigerians that this proposed bill will be passed into law and also take effect for the good of the country. Freeman Usawi, BeeTv News.
Now, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has opened its case against the former Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, by calling his first witness Azubike Okorie. Mr. Okorie, the subpoenaed witness, is the former Director of Procurement of the Federal Ministry of Aviation. He was thereafter appointed Special Assistant to the former Minister. His testimony pointed out his absence of contractors, including a BQ during a monitoring visit, citing land acquisition conflicts between the Nigerian Air Force and the Federal Airport Authority in Nigeria.
Counsel, the only thing I can tell you is that we open our case today, and they ask for time to examine the witness. It's not for lawyers to watch the demeanor of witnesses. It's at the prerogative of the trial judge.
The court adjourned to the 11th of June for counsel to the defendants to cross-examine the defendants. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission plans to collaborate with relevant stakeholders to update tertiary education curriculum to include consumer rights. This initiative was announced by the acting executive vice chairman of the commission during a one-day webinar with tertiary education students in the Federal Capital Territory. The report by Oluwarotimi Oguniyi.
Over time, youths have increasingly been recognized as pivotal drivers of change, making up over 70% of Nigerian population. Their energy, innovation, and influence has been known to play a crucial role in shaping the nation's future. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, acknowledges the significant impact of this demographic and sees immense value in engaging them to foster greater awareness of consumers' safety and rights. During a one-day engagement with students of tertiary institutions in FCT, the acting executive vice chairman explained that starting with tertiary students, the awareness and understanding of consumers' rights and protections will naturally spread.
We believe that by the time everybody is aware of what their rights are, and you can challenge service providers and manufacturers to what these rights are, it made them sit up. That's why we are holding this webinar today, so that this message permeates down.
The acting executive vice chairman reassured Nigerians of the agency's unwavering commitment to their welfare and outlined various efforts made to uphold this dedication.
You don't go to the shelf in the supermarket, pick an item, and then when you go to pay for that item, you find out that the price is different. That is false, misleading. Wherever we find anybody doing what is not right, we do what we are supposed to do. We sanction loan sharks have come into our space and have virtually taken over our lives. You must pay back your debt. There's no two about it. But then, in the process, it doesn't mean that your privacy must be abused.
The Commission discussed the importance of updating the tertiary curriculum for Nigerian students.
We gave an initial period of 3 months, and they have started about a month or so ago. So in the next 2 months or so, there should be a report given to us.
Oluwarotimi Oguniyi, reporting for BeeTv News.
The federal government has declared Wednesday, June 12, as a public holiday to commemorate this year's Democracy Day celebration. Ahead of this year's June 12 celebration, some respondents who spoke to BeeTv News stated that Nigeria is still not practicing true democracy, despite being free from colonial rule decades ago. BeeTv News' Esoye Osemigi has the report.
Democracy Day is a national public holiday in Nigeria to commemorate the restoration of democracy in 1999 and commemorated on June 12. Until 2018, it was celebrated annually on May 29. It is a tradition that has been held annually beginning in year 2000. June 12 was formerly known as Abiola Day, celebrated in Lagos and some southwestern states of Nigeria. Meanwhile, speaking on the essence of the day ahead of the commemoration, some respondents said Nigeria is not currently a true democratic nation due to its entrenched corrupt political leaders, its dwindling electoral participation, the elite class allegedly feasting on the poor and vulnerable, and the high cost of living now burden the nation, among others.
Democracy it's literally no longer practiced in Nigeria as it used to be, and there has been a paradigm shift actually in the opinions of citizens, and even the recent changing of the anthem. You know, we saw the reactions that it caused and all that. I think the government has to do more, you know, in returning back to the books and, you know, making the citizens happy.
We are following the tenets of democracy. For example, the new national anthem. Did they seek the consent of the Nigerian population, the populace? Did they seek our consent? Number one. Number two, are we really happy in this democracy? So many factors are really working against us, we the populace in this country.
While others explained that the nation is striving on its journey to portray true democracy, as the leaders are providing means to represent the interest of the populace.
When you say whether the thing is democratic, is yes. People that are leading us are democratically elected. They are not forced. I mean, they didn't force themselves into that place. Whatever they do, they have a due process they follow. So the question now is whether they are doing it well or not.
I'm not sure the government is representing the citizens. They are just working for themselves. Because the suffering here right now is too much on the citizens. The people are suffering.
Governments are not following the ways of the democracy, because the democracy, when you say democracy, democracy is when a bona fide citizen is allowed to exercise his rights.
With the yearly celebration of June 12, Democracy Day, many citizens are wondering when Nigeria as a nation will reach the height of true democracy, which is for the people and not the leaders. Esoye Osemigi, reporting for BeeTv News.
Now to the power sector, the Minister of Power, Honorable Adebayo Adelabu, says the government will give more incentives to local power firms to enhance production. He said this during a visit to Coleman Wires and Cables in Ogun State. BeeTv News Gift Uwagboy tells us more.
The Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, visited the factories of Coleman Wires and Cables located along Lagos-Ibadan Expressway in Ogun State in an attempt to ascertain the current contributions of the company to power sector development.
So it is desirable for government on a systematic basis and regardless to ensure that we reduce the level of our import dependence and we start manufacturing what we consume, so that our power consumption can be used to us as a nation.
For 18 years, we invested 95% of total profit back here, is what created it to. In 20 years, we became the biggest player in the industry in the continent in 20 years. We didn't do magic. We just literally reinvested every single thing. Till today, you are not allowed to, you cannot, even our profit, we must retain 60% on new investments.
After seeing various lines in the factories, the minister was amazed by the technical capacity of the local wires and cable manufacturer from the old factory. The minister moved to a new complex in Shagamu. The new factories has even more complex equipment and systems connectivity.
Government should also support them with sourcing of foreign exchange for the import content in their production.
His visit has been encouraging. It shows that our dedication to this country, the investment we have in this country, can be supported by this current government. And that means we can do more. And for us, we see potential of still over $100 million of investment. I think Coleman is here for this government.
Company manager said the business started in 1975, growing to employ over 800 workers while still selling products across Africa. The vision of the business manager is to dominate African economy and lead in the production of marine cables, oil and gas cables and power transmission wires. Gift Uwagboy reporting for BeeTv News.
The First Lady of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has donated 50,000 books to public schools in Niger State as part of our nationwide support for basic education. The distribution of books took place in 3 government schools and will be continued in other schools. BeeTv News' Joyce Iyere has more.
A remarkable sight and significant advancement in learning in public schools here in Niger State. Students now study with personal iPad and have internet connectivity. This is a UBEC model self-school. The goal is to replicate this across the states.
Coming to this school, these children have tremendously improved, more especially in the aspects of going online to search for content to learn. The Smart School program has in a way bridged the gap between the rich and the poor by giving these children access to sophisticated devices.
However, the reality is starkly different in this government-owned primary school. They still wait for government intervention. The Ministry of Education presented books provided by the First Lady. Additionally, the ministry supplies school bags and other learning materials. The presentation were also made at other schools, including the School for Special Needs.
You can see the children are happy, the teachers are happy, everybody is happy to collect just this token from the First Lady and from the state. And we also want to appreciate our own First Lady, the wife of our former governor, Hajia Fati Umar Bago, who has facilitated and make sure that our own share as a state came to us.
In the Sangaya school, we're trying to bring people that are used to learning in the Zaures to the school and then make them appreciate the basic numeracy and literacy. So the concept is different for both of them.
We have reviewed our quality assurance books to guide our quality assurance officers, so now they have a framework to follow. The textbooks in the state have not been reviewed for the past 19 years. We have reviewed those textbooks. Now we have a list of standard textbooks that must be used. It's not a choice by both public and private school to teach our students. So what we are really doing now is the systemic repairs of what is internally rotting.
There's a growing demand for increased funding in basic education in primary schools across Nigeria. This is needed to better the future of the leaders. Joyce Iyere reporting for BeeTv News.
Now, Senate President Godswill Akpabio has praised the impact of Dangote Petroleum Chemical Refinery, noting its potential to leading a high-profile delegation on a tour to the facility. BeeTv News Freeman Osawe reports.
Accompanied by senators and members of the House of Representatives, the President of the Senate, Mr. Godswill Akpabio, was received by Mr. Aliko Dangote, chairman of Dangote Group, alongside key executives from the refinery. The visit to the facility, which is the first by the 10th Assembly, was aimed at initiating legislative support for the Dangote Group and similar landscape industrial projects that will drive economic growth and development. Located in the Lekki Free Trade Zone in Lagos, the Dangote Petroleum Refinery poised to be a game changer for Nigeria's oil and gas sector.
And congratulate all Nigerians for what we are seeing here today. But his adherence to quality is what impresses me. The laboratories I've seen here, and even the explanation from the social media that Belgium has finally realized the need to ban the exportation of bad fuel from their country to Nigeria.
What we are doing is to be able to export our petroleum products to anywhere and compete with any company. By next week, we'll be producing less than even about 10 ppm in terms of diesel, which now what is happening in the market is that you import about 2,000, 3,000. So we will produce the best.
It wasn't just a dream, on the shelf. It's reality. It's put on the ground. And so for me, it's the economic, independence that will give not only Dangote Refinery, but all of the businesses around and the country in whole.
Dangote Refinery is the largest single facility in the world capable of processing 650,000 barrels of crude oil per day, having commenced production of jet, AI, and diesel earlier. The group says its distribution of petrol is expected to begin in some months.
PMS, it will start coming out by, we had a bit of delay, but it will start coming out by 10th, 15th of July. But then, we want to keep it in the tank to make sure that it settles. By 3rd week of July, we'll be able to take it into the market.
We'll be expecting PMS coming out from this refinery, and that will be a very big boost to the Nigerian economy. And so we will continue, the pressure on the foreign currency will continue to lose up. And then government, the Renewed Hope agenda, you can see that it's working.
As the Dangote Refinery comes up in full stream, it is expected to significantly reduce the nation's reliance on imported fuel and other petrol products. Freeman Osawe, BeeTv News.
The Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, on Monday defended 1.911 trillion naira as its 2024 budget before the Senate Committee on the NDDC. Managing Director of the agency, Dr. Samuel Ogbuku, presented the estimates of the fiscal document to the senators in company with top management staff of the Commission and the NDDC board members. The report is presented by Tosin Toluwaloju.
The Managing Director, Samuel Ogbuku, who is at the Senate to defend the budget of his commission, he puts the estimate at 1.9 trillion naira, out of which NDDC hopes to borrow 1 trillion to fund its expenditure. Ogbuku told lawmakers that despite the paucity of funds, the 2024 budget of the interventionist agency aims to transform the activities of the commission and make life better for the people of the Niger Delta region.
In order to be proactive, we thought there was a need to balance between carrying out new projects and just perpetually paying for old projects. Because as much as we have old projects, we must also understand that the challenges of the Niger Delta people keep changing. Our challenges 5-10 years ago are different from some of our challenges today.
Federal lawmakers commended the activities of NDDC in the last 1 year, especially its initiative to sponsor students abroad and provide shelter for flood victims.
What touched me is the 1,000 people's camp is building for refugees, plus the emergency camp. It's commendable.
Chairman of the committee, Asuko Ekpeyong, acknowledged NDDC's poor image due to delayed or unpaid contract fees.
A review of this budget shows that there are line items that have been designated for the payment of legacy debts, which is a good initiative. We'd like to know how these figures came about, and we'd like to know a comprehensive figure of the total debt owed by the Commission.
NDDC, however, assured that it will complete all abandoned projects, even as they allocated 100 million naira for debt repayment over the next 10 years, in line with the directives of President Bola Tinubu.
In order to also manage our indebtedness, because our indebtedness is not only towards paying contractors, it also gives us credibility in the budget due to the partnerships we intend going into for the purpose of compliance. International organizations, they want to see your process of repayment of your debt. So it is based on that we made a provision for payment of legacy debts in the budget.
According to NDDC, the distribution of projects is based on production ratio with states, with the highest ratio receiving the highest funding.
What is the basis for the allocation of resources to states? What parameters have you used to say state A, state B is getting X amount of money in the budget?
Tosin Toluwaloju, reporting for BeeTv News.
Moving on to matters in security. Security forces in the country have called for support to tackle the insecurity. This comes from security personnel last month. Freeman Osawe has the rest of the details in this report.
It is an emerging trend that has become a source of worry to security forces in the country. Attacks on security agents are in the increase.
In fact, there is a state in Nigeria that within 1 week, 5 policemen were killed in 2 separate incidents. That's Enugu State. In Abia State, you are aware of the killings of Nigerian soldiers during the commemoration of the Biafra Day.
A report released by the National Human Rights Commission has shown that 27 security agents were killed in May.
The issue of killing of law enforcement agents is something that should worry all of us. It is really worrisome, and we condemn it in its totality, its entirety. And we warn that the citizens of this country must refrain from this new penchant of attacking law enforcement agents and killing them.
While security forces are addressing the issue, the Chief of Defense Staff addressed their existing mechanism to deal with military personnel to ensure they uphold the tenet of human rights.
We're supposed to protect Nigeria, innocent Nigerians, so we'll never want to hurt any Nigerian. And that's why we encourage Nigerians, if you see any of our troops misbehaving in any way, in any form, please report to the closest military representation. We take responsibility for our acts, for our actions. We have standing court martials all over the region, all over. So anybody who commits any offense goes for it.
Beyond this, the report has also shown that there were 360 cases of kidnapping, and Niger State recorded the highest number of incidents.
We are working decisively to address insecurity and ensure the safety of citizens. It must be reiterated that the lifeline of the terrorists and other forms of insecurity across our country, that lifeline is the people. Accordingly, winning the war without the support of the people is close to impossible.
Getting that support to tackle the security challenge may just require bolstering public confidence. Freeman Osawe, BeeTv News.
Now to Abia, where the governor has increased the bounty placed on killers of 5 soldiers in the town of Aba from 25 million to 30 million naira. He also promised that perpetrators will be apprehended and prosecuted. Governor Oti gave this assurance when the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, paid a condolence visit to him at his residence. Air Marshal Abubakar called for collaboration between the Nigerian Air Force and the state government in bolstering security and preventing reoccurrences.
Another son who also comes from Obiwa and lives in the United States sent us $5 million to upgrade the bounty to $30 million. So I'm happy to announce that the bounty has just been upgraded to $30 million to encourage anyone that will have this way information that will lead to the apprehension of the criminals who came here to terrorize us. We have also started working with the security agencies to ensure that it will not happen again.
Moving on, the Joint National Association of Persons with Disabilities, in collaboration with the Association of Widows of Nigeria, have called on President Bola Tinubu to appoint a new minister with humanitarian affairs and poverty alleviation. They are hopeful this will allow for more projects to be carried out through the ministry. BeeTv News' Tosi Toluwaloju reports.
Mr. Osman wants the appointment of a new minister in the Humanitarian Affairs Ministry to be a person of unwavering commitment that supports the community of persons with disabilities and the less privileged in Nigeria. He explained the minister must be known to have led efforts in alleviating poverty and the needs of a less vulnerable population.
Philanthropy, assisting and supporting the person with disability and other less privileged people in Nigeria. The work she is doing really entails with the gender of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in terms of supporting or improving the life of persons with disability and other less privileged people.
The group says the community request is unprecedented, underscoring the critique of importance of having a leader who understands and prioritizes challenges by PWDs and marginalized groups.
There is a significant goodwill and effort by the government for the inclusion of persons with disability. But we are appealing for the government to round it up by putting someone that has person with disability at heart to appoint her as a Minister of Humanitarian, which is a supervising ministry for the Commission.
Mr. President, appoint this woman for us. Appoint her. She's a mommy. She's a good woman with a good heart.
But then, the government appointment will strengthen the government's commitment towards equal opportunity and support members of society. Tosi Toluwaloju, reporting for BeeTv News.
And now to business. Data from the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, reveal Nigeria recorded 117.4 billion naira as import costs for motorcycles in the first quarter of 2024. The figure represents a 204% increase from the 38.6 billion naira recorded in the same period in 2023, reflecting the depreciation of the naira. The data is contained in the latest Foreign Trade Statistic Report of the NBS. Let's join BeeTv News' Regina Ujomo for details of this and more from the business desk.
Nigerians rely heavily on commercial motorcycles for intra-city transportation and commuting despite several bans across the country by state government, largely due to insecurities perpetrated through motorbikes. According to data, motorcycle imports ranked 10th on Nigeria imported list, down from 9th a year earlier. This is despite attracting a higher import bill in the period under consideration. However, this product made up 0.93% of the total import value in Q1 2024, up from 0.69% recorded in the same period of the previous year. The impact of exchange rate depreciation on the rise in the Naira's import bill is also a crucial factor that cannot be eliminated. The foreign exchange turnover on the Nigerian official market crashed by 39.95% on Monday. It went from $269.29 million at the end of last week to $161.69 million. It appears that traders and financial institutions took a cautious approach on the first trading day of the week. This cautious approach likely resulted in lower trading volumes as participants took time to evaluate market conditions before making significant moves. This crash is the first since June 6, 2024, when Amex Bank announced the disbursement of $925 million, another tranche of the $3.3 billion crude oil backed loan agreement it entered into the new NNPC last year. The bank disclosed this in a statement on its website, stating that the current disbursement brings the total payment for the facility to $3.150 billion. The bank explained that the current payment was raised from crude off tankers like Wando Group and Sahara Energy, as well as others. Economist and Managing Director of Financial Diversities, Bismarck Rewan, has stated that the latest directive of the Central Bank of Nigeria to international oil companies on the sale of foreign exchange on the official market, which strengthens the naira. Rewan said this during his presentation at the monthly breakfast meeting of the Lagos Economic Desk, which he titled Nigerian Economy on the Brink, Adapt or Collapse. He also called for an increase in telecoms tariff as well as price deregulation to reverse the stagnant growth in the sector. According to The Economist, price sector data investments, impacting service quality, and the decline in telecom sector investments, limited infrastructure development and technology advancement. He mentioned that the best course of action to address the challenge in the sector is to temporarily raise tariff to cover the marginal cost and ensure the effectiveness of the customer's protection energy. In the long term, there should be price deregulation. And that's it on Business News Tonight. Regina Ojoma reporting for BeeTv News.
And now to the global news segment. We begin from Asia, where police in China have arrested a 55-year-old man after 4 U.S. university tutors from Iowa's Cornell College were stabbed in a public park in Jilin province. The instructors are hospitalized but not in life-threatening condition, according to China's foreign ministry. BeeTv News global news correspondent Rebecca Guffey shares details on this and more from the global scene.
The assailant, identified by the surname Siu, clashed with one American and then stabbed 3 other U.S. visitors and a Chinese tourist who tried to help. Our representative Adam Zabna confirmed his brother David was among the injured and is recovering well. The group had been visiting a local temple as part of a teaching partnership with a Chinese university. China's foreign ministry called the attack a random incident and emphasized that the country remains safe for foreigners. An investigation is ongoing. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken stated that if the U.S. and UN-backed ceasefire plan doesn't progress, Hamas will be to blame. He urged Hamas to accept the plan outlined by President Biden 11 days ago. Blinken emphasized that Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar needs to make the final decision. He mentioned that Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had reaffirmed his commitment to the proposal during talks in Jerusalem, although Netanyahu hasn't publicly endorsed it. Blinken saw Hamas's response to a UN Security Council resolution supporting Biden's plan as a hopeful sign. However, he noted that the response from Hamas leadership in Gaza is still unclear. Malawi's Vice President Saulos Chilima and 9 others have died in a plane crash, President Lazarus Chakwera announced. The military aircraft disappeared from radar on Monday morning while flying in bad weather. Soldiers found the wreckage in Chikangawa forest with no survivors. Chilima, 51, had been vice president for 10 years, initially serving under former President Peter Mutharika. Before his political career, he was the managing director of Airtel Malawi. Known as a performer and workaholic, Chilima was also involved in corruption allegations, both as an accuser and an accused. And lastly, socialite Rebecca Grossman has been sentenced to 15 years to life for a 2020 hit and run that killed 2 young brothers, Mark and Jacob Iskander, in Westlake Village, California. Grossman, co-founder of the Grossman Bond Foundation, was convicted of second-degree murder in February. During sentencing, Grossman apologized but claimed she did not see the boys. Her lawyers argued that former LA Dodgers Scott Ericsson's car hit the boys first, a theory the prosecution dismissed. The prosecution also stated Grossman was driving nearly twice the limit speed and showed no remorse. Grossman was convicted of 2 counts each of second-degree murder and vehicular manslaughter and 1 count of hit and run. Grossman expressed deep regret during the hearing. And that's it on the Global News segment for tonight. Thanks very much for watching. I am Rebecca Goffey.
Shifting gears now to entertainment. Nigerian superstar musician Asake has announced that his 3rd studio album will be released later this year. The artist, via his X handle on Monday, dropped the dates for his upcoming Lungu Boy World Tour, which will kick off on July 29th, 2024, with shows in Europe, America, and Australia, including a cheeky line about a new album on the way. BeeTv News' Gift Uwagboy has details of this and more on entertainment.
Asake's upcoming album will be his 3rd album in 3 years after releasing his Headies Album of the Year winning debut album, Mr. Money with the Vibes, in 2022 and his successful sophomore work of art in 2023. Asake kicked off 2024 with the release of Only Me on his birthday, with the song music video sparking conversation over the use of religious iconography in Nigerian music. So far in 2024, Asake has been on the run of guest appearances after being featured by Zlatan on Buzz Down, Victoni on Stubborn, Arya Star on Goodbye off her sophomore album The Year I Turned 21, and Thames Get It Right on her recently released debut album Born in the Wild. Since breaking into the Nigerian mainstream in 2022 with the release of his hit song Omo Okpe, Asake has rocketed to superstardom through a run of hit singles housed in 2 successful albums. His entrance into the Nigerian music scene saw the peak period of the adoption of Amapiano log drums in Afrobeat, with Asake and his producer Magic Sticks being at the forefront of the exploration of the South African imports. His upcoming album is set to be another exciting chapter in Asake's exciting musical journey. Nigerian international star Thames recorded the highest peak for a Nigerian female artist on Apple Music US. In another landmark feat, Thames' debut album The Year I Turned 21 peaked at number 5 on the Apple Music album charts, which sets a new record for the highest charting position for an album by a Nigerian female artist. On her debut album, Thames documents her personal and artistic growth through songs that embrace her R&B and new soul influences, while she also explores other genres including Afrobeat and hip-hop. The 18-track album has 2 guest appearances from Afrobeat superstars Asake and American Grammy-winning rapper J. Cole. With her latest feat on the Apple Music US album charts, Thames now ranks in the league of Nigerian artists whose projects have peaked in the top 5 of the Apple Music US album charts. Lastly, on entertainment, Nigerian billionaire heiress and renowned DJ Copy has disclosed their intention to pursue a 4th degree in a video uploaded on Instagram. The billionaire heiress, whose real name is Florence Ifeoluwa Otedola, shared her aspiration with her fans, hinting at her plans to apply for an Ivy League institution to further her education. DJ Copy expressed both excitement and trepidation about embarking on this academic journey. In the video shared online, she confessed her apprehensions regarding the rigorous nature of the academic workload at such prestigious institutions. However, Copy drew strength from her past experiences, recalling the challenges she overcame while obtaining her 3 existing degrees. Despite her enthusiasm for learning, Copy chose not to disclose the name of the specific Ivy League institution to which she intends to apply. That's it on entertainment news tonight. Gifts Uwagboy reporting for BeeTv News.
And now on sports. The Minister of Sports Development, John Eno, has demanded a detailed technical report from the Nigerian Football Federation following the Super Eagles' disappointing performance during the June FIFA window. Let's join BeeTv News sports correspondent Uyi Lambert for details on this and other sports stories.
Super Eagles managed to secure only 1 point from a possible 6 following a 1-0 draw with South Africa in Uyo and losing 2-1 to Benin Republic in Abidjan in the 3rd and 4th game in the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifying series. This result left the Super Eagles with a total of just 3 points from a possible 12 of the 4 games played thus far in their quest to qualify for the 2026 FIFA World Cup to be jointly hosted by USA, Canada, and Mexico. The minister expressed his dissatisfaction with the outcomes, especially considering the substantial support the NFF had received from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, in addition to the kind of open and positive working relationship between the ministry and the NFF. The minister stated that the NFF need to provide a technical report explaining the underperformance of the national team and that Nigerian football fans deserve answers and accountability from the NFF. Now,
well, that is all we have for you tonight on the news. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Oluwatoyin Oyedola. Have a good night.